Hi, everyone. Welcome to our Thursday edition of Coaching Moments. On Tuesday, we had a small talk about the relationship between our body and emotions. Today, I want to go a little bit further, just for a few minutes, on how we relate to our own emotions. Emotions can be something that empower us, that disempower us. I once heard a lecture where someone used the statement, emotions can be the spice of life if you let them. And our emotional world is very dense, but in psychology, we recognize that there are six basic emotions. Six basic emotions, and other emotions and other emotional states and moods flow out of that. So the six basic emotions are: number one, happiness; number two, sadness; number three, fear; number four, disgust; number five, anger; number six, surprise. Now, emotions are neither good or bad, they are neutral. And emotions affect our moods. So I want to use this illustration today. Emotions are like visitors. Moods are like people who continually stay with us. And so a lot of people have a mood set that goes with them constantly, whereas emotions are something that come and go and change. They're like visitors. Now, emotions can empower you or disempower you based on having the ability you have to manage them. So, for example, happiness. Happiness is very important. Nobody wants to live a life without happiness. No one wants to live their life constantly in a mood of depression. But happiness, we all know that we're not always happy all the time, and it's not humanly possible to be happy all the time. And when people say the reason we were born in this world was to be happy, well, that's quite relative, not exactly true, because it's impossible to live in a constant state of happiness 7 days a week, 24 hours a day. You would have to stop being a human being. But happiness is very important to our life, and happiness comes from things we love, things we enjoy, and things that give us a sense of fulfillment. So happiness is important. But if a person tries to live in a constant state of happiness where they're never sad, where they never recognize other emotions, they become very extreme and live like in a way that's very ecstatic. But it's not healthy in the long haul, because in the long haul, eventually all the other emotions they repress will manifest themselves. Sadness is an important emotion. If you live your whole life sad, that's not healthy. If your mood is always sad, that will lead to depression and do damage to your life. However, you need healthy sadness. Sadness comes from loss, and sadness helps us process loss. When there's been a death of a loved one, there is a time of grieving. There is a time of sadness that's important. I would even say today that you can't experience thankfulness until you first experience sadness. Because when there's been a loss in your life, when someone's passed on, or a season of your life is closed, until you experience the sadness of that loss and recognize that that time in your life is over, you truly won't be able to be thankful for the good times you had in that time of your life, or the good times you had with the person you lost. So there's a place for healthy sadness. There's a place for healthy fear. Fear gives us the ability to put healthy boundaries and healthy limits in our lives. Fear helps us know the areas where we're weak. Not saying that we don't work on our weaknesses, but fear can help us create healthy boundaries and not create bad decisions. But if you live constantly in fear, you become paranoid. So you have to be able to manage these emotions or process these emotions. Disgust is healthy. There are things that should disgust you in this world. I mean, there's a lot of things. There's a lot of problems in our society. We see a lot of injustice in our society, and it is okay for certain things to cause disgust. That is healthy. However, if that becomes a mood, then that person is going to become very resentful and not be able to manage good relationships. Anger is healthy. We need healthy anger. Anger as well can help us make healthy limitations and recognize our boundaries, and injustice should make us angry. The loss of life unjustly should make us angry. But if you live in a constant state of anger, it is not healthy, as you will ultimately damage yourself and damage your relationship with others. And surprise is very important, because surprise keeps us in a sense of awe. Surprise helps us to not look for certainty in life. because we're never going to have perfect certainty about the future. The future's not always going to be clear to us. So living with an attitude of surprise and wonder helps us embrace the unexpected. So all these emotions in and of themselves are not good or bad. They are what they are. And emotions are visitors. They come to us, and if we process them properly, they leave. And they'll come back again, and if we process them properly, we'll leave. How do we process our emotions? It is the same way we become aware of what goes on in our bodies, as I said on Tuesday. It comes through silence and reflection. Because through silence, we can learn, instead of getting lost in our emotions, to look at each emotion without judgment, without judging ourselves. Just look at our emotions, accept them for what they are, and let them play themselves out in a healthy way. We recognize that our identity and our value as human beings are not based on our emotional states. I want to say that again. Our value as human beings are not based on our emotional states. The value we have for one another is not based on each other's emotional states. But through silent reflection, we can recognize our emotions, we can recognize what we're feeling, and we can process them, and we can let them go if they're not serving us in a healthy way, without judgment, without judging ourselves. And as we do that, we begin to create a healthy emotional intelligence, and we begin to process our emotions instead of being governed by our emotions. And as we learn to process our emotions and are more aware of our emotional health, you know what? You begin to pick up on other people's emotional states, and it improves your ability on how to relate to them. So that's just a few thoughts on how we process our emotions in a healthy way. If you're interested in one-on-one coaching with me, you can drop me an inbox message. We can talk about pricing, and we can talk about how I can accompany you in developing more emotional intelligence and social intelligence. Have a great day.